is Oromo Voice Radio English program. Oromo Voice Radio is broadcasting to Oromia at 16-meter band or 17,850 kilohertz or on oromovoice.org website. OVR broadcasts Oromia Insight program every Monday for 15 minutes at 7:15 p.m. Oromia local time. Welcome to Oromia Insight program.
Welcome to Oromia Insight. My name is Ali Galeto. This is part 2 interview with Dr. Tarekeng Chimdi.
Gives you better leverage, leave alone for an Oromo activist, but it is a collaboration, it is a cooperation between organizations that makes things heard. Actually, working with Amnesty International worked really good for us than we individually do as human rights activists individually, and the same is true with other organizations. The benefits of working with these organizations is we can use their resources, we can collaborate with them, and they have access to every government, and they are well established, and actually they have renowned and they have good brand. So it is mandatory to work with such human rights organizations. So that is how I work it. If I tried individually working alone, it might have taken me years and years, and even there is a possibility to the level it was heard. Still, what I say to my fellow Oromo human rights activists, try to liaise with human rights organizations, try to liaise with your MPs, try to liaise with every and volunteer for the causes, and that is how we can network and learn from them and also make ourselves heard, and the tragedy against our people can be also heard, and probably in the same way we can also help our people for their voices be heard. That is one of the main reasons for collaborating with different organizations. And in doing so, actually, we achieved, and it was productive. And what when we are doing, in most cases, if the governments are doing or the governments are putting people in jail, means they are just putting in the dark. So if this is disclosed outside, probably they may bring those whom they took in custody or in detention centers incommunicado. Probably they will be put into the court system, and even if the court system is not helping them, but things are coming to the light. So in such a way, we can expose the violations of the Ethiopian government, the human rights violations of the Ethiopian government against the Oromo people, and still we can also make more friends for the Oromos. We can actually cooperate with others as well. I remember Amnesty International, for example, it has got its own chapters all over the world. All these chapters send a letter to the governments, the dictatorial government, and that makes them, that will not give them rest. So, and they will be ashamed. This is, we better reach a large number of people across the globe through this mechanism. So that is why I used these networks. And the other question is, at the UN system, for example, we tried to disclose in front of other governments what the Ethiopian government is doing against the Oromo people. In 2004, the eviction of the Oromos from the neighboring suburbs of Finfinne, for example, due to the plantation, the cut flower plantation during that time, it was exposed that time, and the instigation of conflicts by the Ethiopian government, it was already reported within the UN system, and it was in the record of the UN system. One of the things, the benefits is exposing deeds of the bad deeds of the Ethiopian government, and that is the type of thing you will get out of that.
So in activism, you actually been to different leadership roles. For example, you volunteering for Humanitarian Crisis Hub, now renamed as a Diaspora Action Australia, as a research team leader from 2009 to 2011, and helped in coordinating transport for the South Sudan referendum. And once you were General Secretary and Chairman of the Union of Oromo Students in Germany and the Oromo Committee in Bara from 1997 to 2004. At the same time, once you've been a fellow at UN Human Rights Council in 2006, and you received a prize from the African Study Association of Australia, the Pacific in Monash University, about systematic repression and rampant human rights abuse against the Oromo people in Ethiopia. So what was the challenge being in a different roles for different organizations in different countries in different years? What was the challenge for you, and what people actually learn from this challenge? Any tips for people who are actually joining the activism?
Yeah, there are challenges actually in human rights roles. One of the big challenges in those days, for example, getting reliable information is one of the difficulties. Well, there was no internet, there was not well-developed internet, and actually the lack of movement is also another issue, just to collect the human rights violations which are committed against the Oromo people during those days. These are the type of challenge. Know-how is a challenge, or they were all limited. The resources are limited, and people who are working on this area are very few. And these are the type of challenges which I can mention in the work of human rights roles, activism during that time. But apart from that, to come to the issue of South Sudan, for example, South Sudan is a neighborly country, and we share actually the same yoke of colonialism they encountered under a subjugative regime. And this is actually our inspiration, and I was excited to take part in this referendum, and that is why I give my hand. And it is also networking with a friendly country or a neighboring country. That is what the motive actually. And the other thing is, if I mention the volunteerism in the case of research team at the Crisis Hub, it is the transnational corporation. The transnational corporation's presence in Africa, for example, in Congo, in Sudan, South Sudan that time, was really fueling conflict. And that is what I tried to see in the research project. And this is the area I worked on, and what was the implication to the human rights abuses in those areas. In the case of my role as a secretary and chairman of the Union of Oromo Students in Germany, actually, first of all, I have to appreciate those who served before I did serve in that role for the Union of Oromo Students in Europe and in Germany, because this is one of the oldest organizations the Oromo had, and they did really some good job in just being the voice of the Oromo. And Germany is also, the Oromos in Germany were really active in the struggle. And actually, I say thank you to them who helped me and whom I worked with them. And there were challenges, actually. One, I came to a new country, and it's a new language, and time management was an issue. I was studying. But apart from that, everything was good, and the Oromos in Germany were so helpful, and they were cooperating, and we worked together. And I have good advisories as well. For example, from Boldoan Hunde, whom I would like to mention, and thank. And there are others as well whom I would like to thank. And that was the typical challenge I had is time management, new country, new language in that role. And actually the challenges in the research area I was studying, and still the time management is an issue, but still, apart from that, it is giving to your community, giving to your cause, and working for what you like. And there was a challenge, but you can succeed at the end. And actually, while exposing the systematic and rampant human rights abuses against the Oromo people by the Ethiopian regime, at that conference, actually people didn't know much about what's going against the Oromo people in Ethiopia, and this was the first time to hear on that particular conference and on this venue of organization, so to say. Raising awareness is one of the things which was achieved, and also friendliness for the Oromo people or just sympathy to the Oromo people is what was achieved at this particular in this particular work, I can say.
Obama is visiting Ethiopia in July. What is your take?
Yeah, in 2008, when Obama was elected as a first African-American president, there was really big hope for such a person who experienced activism to take the right action against totalitarianism and injustices in Africa. As time goes on, the things didn't come true. And at this stage, what we see is entirely something which is unexpected from a person of his caliber to reward an authoritarian regime like the regime of Ethiopian Empire, and siding with a totalitarian system, in my view, is really a shame to the democracy which we are actually propagating, or which is propagated. Is equivalent to what Obama is doing to the Ethiopian Empire at this stage, or what the reward he gives to the Ethiopian Empire, or the support to the Ethiopian Empire, is what I see is equal to the support to the Korean system, but that didn't happen. In this case, what we see is democracy and human rights were served as a double standard, and this is really what is not expected from such a democratic country and a president of such big democracy. At this stage, what we can say is probably the Oromos from around the globe should come hand in hand with their MPs and sign their petitions, rally against this move, and try to make the Oromo voice heard. And that is the type of thing probably the Oromos are expected to do.
Thank you, Dr. Chimdi, for coming and sharing your experience. We hope we're gonna discuss in details about activism and what Oromo should actually do, and what people can learn from activists like you. We hope the Oromo also get their freedom soon. We will discuss more in near future, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me, Ali.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.